Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you and welcome. I would like to call the May 5th, 2014 meeting to order in public session, and I want to announce that President Schmidt is in attendance this evening via teleconference at 12800 North Saguaro Boulevard in Fountain Hills, Arizona, and that she has appointed me to act as President Pro Tem for tonight's meeting, and Trustee Hernandez has been appointed to act as Clerk Pro Tem this evening. President, let's have roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Here.
Trustee Mendez?
Here.
Trustee Hernandez?
Here.
Trustee Johnston?
Here.
Trustee Schaefer? Stacy Carpio? Here. Shady Fawcett? Here. Amanda Gardner? Here.
Thank you. And Ms. Johnson, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today? Flag salute?
Oh, sure.
Please. Thank you. And now for our first item, recognitions. Recognize Ms. Jeannie Fortin, Riverside County Confidential Employee. I forgot. I'm sorry, yeah, we skipped the school. The student board members. Welcome, representatives from the schools. We would like to start with you, actually. So, Mr. Duchamp, would you like to introduce him and have him report to us?
Thank you, President Pro Tem Mendez. It's a long title. We will start with Jurupa Valley High School and Daisy Carpio.
Good evening. Well, last Friday we had our Hunger Games prep rally, which was a total success. We had a lot of feedback from students and teachers. And as juniors finished up testing, we started our AP testing today. And we have senior awards night next Tuesday in our gym at 6 o'clock. Our sports, tennis, were league champs for three times in a row. Our boys swim were also league champs, and cheer were grand champions in Vegas. Seniors check out on May 23rd. We have our luncheon on May 27th and cement signing, and all of you guys are invited to attend that. It's at 9 o'clock in our gym. And we have graduation practice the 28th and 29th, and grad night at Disneyland May 30th, with graduation being May 29th. That's it, Jurupa.
I see I did this in the wrong order, huh? Well, guess what? I did this in the wrong order, so we'll just keep going in the wrong order. Patriot High School. Ms. Shaley, would you like to tell us about Patriot?
Yes, thank you. Last Friday we had our last lunch activity of the year, and it was a scavenger hunt around campus, and it was a great success. Last Friday we also had our prom, which was held at the Hyatt at Huntington Beach, and it was our most well-attended prom ever in the history of Patriot, so that was a great event as well. This last Saturday, May 3rd, we had a benefit and talent show called Sundown on Slavery to help fight human trafficking, and we had teachers and students alike share their talent at this annual event. Choir had their spring show on May 1st that showcased all of our different choirs in our choral department, and it was a great event as well. We have class council elections coming up this week where students have the opportunity to run for sophomore, junior, or senior president, vice president, or secretary. We have our last Ultimate Warrior Lunch of the year on May 8th, where this awards students that have perfect attendance and C's or better on the last grading report with a free lunch. On May 9th is our Madrigal's Candlelight at the Candlelight Pavilion in downtown Riverside. Our AP testing started today, and we want to wish all of our students good luck that will be taking on this challenge that is AP testing within the next 2 weeks. Our spring sports are wrapping up, and we're excited to see if we are able to capture any league titles in any of our spring sports. Senior finals will take place on May 21st and 22nd, with senior awards night being on May 22nd as well. Senior checkout is on May 23rd, followed by graduation on May 28th. The last day of school and underclassmen finals are May 28th and 29th, and we'll be having grad night for seniors at Disneyland on May 30th. And this is my last board report, and I've had the opportunity to do this, to be the student board rep for Patriot for the last 2 years. So I just want to thank the board for this opportunity and all the great things that came with it. And I'm really grateful for this experience. And that's all for Patriot.
Thank you, Shaylee. And Amanda, would you like to tell us about Rubidoux?
Okay, so last Thursday was our last blood drive of the year, and we had our biggest donations with 184. Our spring rally was also last Friday, and it was a success with the students versus staff. Our boys tennis team made it to prelims, and they'll be doing their playoffs on Tuesday and Thursday. This week is also Teacher Appreciation Week, and we are participating in it. And this Friday, it'll conclude with the festival of, it's kind of a combination of Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo, and Teacher Appreciation. And Senior Awards Night is next Wednesday, the 14th, in our gym. Graduation is the Tuesday, the 27th at 6 p.m. And our senior versus staff basketball game is this Friday at 3 p.m. And our ASB banquet is also today. So, thank you.
Now, we want to embarrass you for a minute. First of all, Shaylee, you are the only person that I know of that served 2 terms as a student board member, so thank you. Daisy and Amanda, I want to thank you both, and I'd like you all 3, if you could come up here. Our student board members are very diligent. They bring a flavor, particularly of our high schools, to the board, and they participate very often with comments, always intelligent comments. Not only do they give reports, but they're part of all of our board discussions, anything that they want to add. And we, as both administration and representing the board, not only respect, but we invite and really enjoy your participation. And I think it's very critical in this district that students have, at least as long as I know of, have been represented at the board and have a say in the actions that the board takes. So I want to thank you all for your service, and we have some plaques for you that you can put on your walls wherever you end up next year, or you could put them on your bedroom at home if you don't want to brag in the dorm. So if you'd all come up here, the President Pro Tem and I will give you your plaques, and then Amanda, if you can all come up, but I'll let you hand them out. Why don't you just come on up here? Yes. You are, after all, board members. Shaylee also represented the district last year with a group going to Korea, and with a group of students from Mission Middle School. And she was wonderful, got to experience other cultures, and was kind of like an extra chaperone, really. So we thank you really for all 3 of you, very dedicated service to this board and to the district, and wish you the best of luck next year. And come back and let us know all your successes, because there will be many. So thank you.
Thank you. Also, we appreciate your reports at every meeting here as a board, and then we also appreciate the contributions that you make at our meetings as well too. So thank you for being part of our meetings. Now we're moving on to recognition section, and first we would like to recognize Ms. Jeannie Fortin, Riverside County Confidential Employee of the Year. Mr. Duchamp.
How experienced she is. I was going to have to tell her to come up and face the audience, and she knew to do this. Now, for a person who hates recognition but deserves it so much, is Jeannie Fortin. We are very proud of you. Jeannie has been selected of all the school districts in the county to be the Confidential Employee of the Year. And for those of you that may not know, confidential employees are a unique class of employees. They're so designated because they provide really executive assistance throughout districts, but are also technically confidential because of negotiations. It's actually defined under the RADA Act. but they do everything. And like all of them, Jeannie is everywhere. If you have ever been at any staff development, Jeannie's there. She probably fed you. She probably made sure there was coffee there. She probably made sure the speaker was there. She probably made sure the right speaker was there on the right day. And if they weren't going to be, probably rounded them up, brought them in, and marshaled them right to their podium. Jeannie is really all over all of the things that happen at Ed Services, always assisting in district events, from the picnic to every kind of special day that we have, but really day in and day out. Those of you involved on district committees probably have some flavor of how much staff development goes on in the district and how many meetings center around curriculum. I don't know what it is about curriculum, but I always hassle the Ed Services Department on how much they have to talk about things. But they do, and they require lots of people to come in, and Jeannie does it perfectly and flawlessly, and we know you will just represent us so well, and we're very proud. You will be honored tomorrow with Celebrating Educators at the Riverside County Office of Education, and we're proud to have Jeannie represent us. And would you like to speak for just a minute? So.
I was told I didn't have to tonight.
You don't have to. You do. I understand that you do tomorrow, so
Give my 2 minutes.
you get your 2 minutes tomorrow. So. And Mr. Dabrowski, I don't know if you would like to add anything, but we have a plaque. I'm going to come down and give it to you. But
I don't know how much more I can add, because whatever I add won't do Jeannie justice. So I won't say much, except that Jeannie really embodies our district's motto, our children, our schools, our future. She does everything she can to support the kids in this district, and she's the best.
Thank you very much. And having had the privilege and pleasure of working with Jeannie during the years that I was with the district, I can attest to everything that's been said about her. And it was always great to work with her in any capacity. So congratulations, Jeannie, and we look forward to your recognition tomorrow. Okay, moving on. Time to recognize bilingual educators succeeding together, the BEST Awards. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. On May 2nd, the Riverside County Office of Education and CABE announced this year's BEST Award recipients. The goal of the program is to recognize outstanding educators who are working hard at closing the achievement gap, and the board and administration would like to congratulate the following BEST Award winners. And if you are here, if you could stand and maybe wave your arms or something so we can see you. Administrator of the Year, Andy Hubin from Miraloma Middle School. Teacher of the Year, Nancy Velasquez from Ina Arbuckle. Support Personnel of the Year, Gabriela Flores, also from Ina Arbuckle. And Parent and Community Volunteer, Laura Torres from Ina as well.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. And our next people would like to recognize is to recognize Western Riverside County Association of School Managers, Middle School Principal of the Year.
Thank you. On April 21st, the Western Riverside County Association of School Managers, or WRACSM, recognized Andy Hubin as the Middle School Principal of the Year. WRACSM is a chapter of the Association of California School Administrators, which I believe there are 9 districts that make up WRACSM, if I remember correctly. And so Mr. Hubin was named as the Principal of the Year for WRACSM, and we want to congratulate him. He's been with the district since 2000. He's been principal at Camino Real, Mission Bell, Indian Hills, and his current assignment at Miraloma Middle School. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. And now we recognize site and district retirees. Mr. Elsig. Is that what it says?
Or Mrs.
Mrs. Elsig. Oh, I I thought there's a letter missing in here. I thought, what's he doing here?
That's fine. Tonight is the night we recognize the service of our retiring employees, and we'd like to invite first the board down to the floor to help us do that. Oh, well, I know you always want to start with. Yeah.
Okay.
Say a few words.
Wow. Is it hot wired here? Well, welcome. This is always a bittersweet moment. People move on to other things after they retire, and oftentimes other whole careers and paths of life. But we're always sorry to see people go. Many people have worked many, many years for Jurupa Unified School District, and so for each of you, just imagine how many students you've touched, whether you're part of classified service, management, or a teacher. If you're a teacher, think about how many students have been in your classrooms over the years and just what a positive impact you've made on students' lives. And all of us collectively, every year there's about 20,000 kids in this district, and all of what we do collectively really sends those students into the future, and they couldn't be in better hands than with the employees of Jurupa Unified School District. So tonight we recognize those with differing years of service, but many, many, many years of service and experience and dedication to our students. So we'll start. It may take a minute for people to thread to the front, so we'll start with Gary Abraham. Gary, are you here? And if you're not here, I'm not going to read the 4 pages we have for each of you, but just a short one. Gary has been head custodian in Granite Hill for 6 years and with the district 16 years, always polite and always friendly. And can we have an applause in absentia for him?
I wanted to let you know also as we get started, if individuals are not here, it's most likely because they retired earlier in the year. So this is our list for the entire year. I didn't want you to think that we had that many no-shows or anything. So next up would be Joyce Abraham, and I believe if Gary's not here, Joyce is probably not here. They're a couple. So Joyce was with, or has...
I never knew that.
You never knew that?
I never knew that.
Gary and Joyce.
There's lots of things I don't know.
Joyce is with us for 13 years, and they retired earlier. From the story I heard, they had, Diana Stern is shaking her head, I think they had their RV parked out front that afternoon, and they just both walked out, got in it, and sailed off into the sunset. So we wish him all the best. We'll make sure that all the individuals that are not here still get their plaque, and we'll send them what people have written about them.
Mr. Bobby Arterberry. Arterberry. Well, I'm going to do one thing that he probably wouldn't like. Even though he's a Patriot, has often been known as the voice of Rubidoux if you're at Rubidoux games. So I guess he's got dedication to 2 schools. He's retiring after 32 years as a guidance coordinator and 38 years of service in the field of education. And knowing him, he will go on and serve kids in some way positively. Maybe he'll still be announcing at football games. Who knows? We'll be looking for him. He has done many, many things, both for the district and for the education community, and we're very sad to see him go, even though I pronounced his name wrong.
We want to recognize Hillary Barnett. Hillary? Miss Hillary Burnett wasn't always a teacher. She has been in the Navy, a court reporter, court reporter, a yoga instructor, among many other occupations. Joining the Jurupa Unified School District in 1991 with a bachelor's degree from the University of California in Riverside, Ms. Barnett taught at Indian Hills, Stone Avenue, Mission Middle, Jurupa Valley, and Nueva Vista High School. Her subjects included elementary school, which of course encompasses everything, English, AVID, United States history, and world history. The classroom wasn't the only place Ms. Barnett showed her expertise. She was also an AVID coordinator, a speech coach, student study team coordinator, literacy technology coach, and was on a WASC leadership team. Along with a colleague, Ms. Barnett taught instructors in China. Her plans for retirement include traveling, relaxing, and doing anything she wants. Congratulations, Hillary.
And congratulations on going to the #1 rated university in the country, according to Time Magazine. How about that? Go Highlanders. Janice Brown. Are you here, Janice? Well, not that everybody isn't important, but Janice was a food service worker, and you can tell by my stomach that that's important. Since 2007, before working with food services, she was a crossing guard. Janice always wears a smile and has a great work ethics, and students from the Sky Country community know Janice and just love her. So congratulations to Janice.
And we'd like to recognize Don Cushing, if you could join us. Don has taught in the Jurupa Unified School District since September 8th, 1976, where he began his tenure, wow, at Rubidoux High School. In 1989, Don moved to the Jurupa Valley High School and was one of the original teachers who opened that school. Along the way, Don has taught a variety of different classes, including Auto 1, Auto 2, Small Engine Repair, Basic Electricity, Welding, Health, Computer Graphics, Drafting, and General Studies. He taught in the Adult Education Program and the Individualized Program of Instruction for 25 years. Throughout this time, he has been a model teacher and a tremendous resource for both students and staff alike. Don has also done some extracurricular work as well. He and his students participated in the Ford Motor Company troubleshooting contest for 17 years. The contest included over 100 schools each, and Don's students never finished worse than 15th and placed as high as 3rd. He was also the advisor for the Solar Boat Program for 5 years, where his teams always finished at the top of the pack. In 1991, Don's skills and abilities were recognized when he received the Jurupa Unified School District Award for Teacher of the Year. We wish him all the best on his new journey as a retiree from Jurupa Valley. Congratulations.
And if you have the opportunity, those solar boats are hanging in the library at Jurupa Valley High School, just looking for water. That was just great. Thank you, Don. Tom Dowling. I don't know if Tommy's here. I don't see him here. Tom Dowling, also known as Tommy Tech, started working for the district in 1989 as an electronics technician. Get this, he was repairing projectors, VCRs, and portable radios. They don't even exist anymore. They're all in your cell phone now. So I guess he figured when we didn't have any more VCRs, it was time to retire. So we congratulate Tom on his retirement, and his wife also was a retiree of this district, and hopefully they're having fun somewhere tonight.
If you know Gail and Tom, they're definitely having fun on Cinco de Mayo somewhere tonight, for sure. Johnny England. Johnny England, are you here, Johnny? A dedicated employee of the school district, almost 29 years, hired in 1985 as a grounds worker, and worked to keep our district beautiful all those years. So we thank him for his years of service.
It's interesting when they retire, they're just gone. Daryl Erickson. Jean was an English teacher at Rubidoux High School in 1993. This is interesting. I didn't know this. Maybe you didn't know this either. At that time, he was the only male of 28 teachers in the English department. Is that why you became a guidance coordinator?
Was well trained.
At the time, okay, he has taught all levels of English courses, holds a special place in his heart for EL and AVID students. He has also coached baseball, softball, and basketball, was part of the first group of teachers in the district to complete data team training, and has served as a data team leader, department chair, academic decathlon advisor. He was once selected as both RHS's and the district's Teacher of the Year. After 12 years as an English teacher, Jean became a guidance coordinator for both Rubidoux and Patriot High Schools. Rubidoux and Patriot have been his family for 21 years. He is sorry to leave. Then why are you leaving? But is looking forward to spending more time with his family and especially his grandchildren who live out of state. Okay, we get that part. He looks forward to working in the real estate field. Good for you, and thank you, Jean.
Is Barbara Foster here? Yay! I'm going to sneak in here. Congratulations. Barbara Foster has worked as a cafeteria assistant, too, for the Jurupa Unified School District since 1984. She has experienced many different schools and finally settled in at Jurupa Valley High School. Whether it is working a speed line register at breakfast or working a card at lunch, Barbara takes pride in giving speedy service and always with a smile. She is a dedicated employee who works hard and enjoys the company of her coworkers. Barbara, you will be missed by all in food services and all of us. We wish you the very best in your retirement.
James Garbett. James, also retired as of 5 minutes ago. Worked for Jurupa for 17 years. James was hired on January 6, 1996 as a sprinkler technician and under the supervision of Steve Dickinson. Boy, there's a name from the past. And knows the ins and outs of the district's irrigation system. And for those of you who don't know, we have a state-of-the-art irrigation system that is weather sensitive and doesn't water. At least it's not supposed to when it's raining out. Right, Mr. Elzig? Right, okay. So congratulations, James.
Next is Vern Grissom, and I don't think I've seen Vern tonight. Vern is a campus supervisor. Hired in October of 2007. He worked at Ina Arbuckle Elementary and did an exceptional job for us. So we'll make sure he gets all of the paragraph and his plaque.
All right, I know this guy's here. Jeff Jacobs. Can I tell a story, Jeff? Do you remember when you and I first met? You may not. I still have the rocks. Do you remember? We made a mistake once upon a time and delivered rocky soil to a practice baseball field, and I think it was my first meeting as business manager. I still have the rocks, though. It's a good reminder. Mr. Jeffrey Jacobs received his bachelor's degree from the University of California, Riverside. Good for you. Attended Azusa Pacific for his master's degree. Entering the district in 1980, Mr. Jacobs taught government, economics, United States history, driver's education, health, spelled wrong, ethnic studies, physical education, and special education, all at Nueva Vista High School. One of his proudest accomplishments was founding the Outward Bound Camping Field Trips, wherein he and other staff members took Nueva Vista students to remote places, teaching them rock climbing, outdoor cooking, and other camping skills. Mr. Jacobs also coached football, baseball, track and field at Rubidoux High School, as well as girls volleyball, boys basketball, girls softball at Nueva Vista. He was an international council member as well as a BITSA mentor. Mr. Jacobs was Teacher of the Year for Nueva Vista and plans to spend his retirement traveling, camping, and spending time with his family. And you're not going to coach one of those sports again? That's right now. Okay. Congratulations, Jeff.
And next up, Carlene Jones. Carlene was hired in 1996 and transferred to the Learning Center from Patriot High School in 2010, where she worked as a clerk typist until her retirement this year. Carlene was an integral part of the Learning Center, and her hard work and dedication was greatly appreciated by all of the staff. Carlene was the first person people would see as they came into the office for questions, and in addition, she managed the paperwork, intakes, and coordination with other schools anything having to do with the Independent Study Program. The Learning Center wishes Carlene the best in her retirement. Are you enjoying it? Yeah, all right.
George Martinez, I don't believe he's here. George has been a mechanic for the district for 25 and a half years. Keeps those buses rolling, the trucks serving the buses, and all the vehicles going. We thank George for his service and congratulate him on his many years of service with the district. Thank you, George.
And I don't believe Gloria Medina is here either. I don't think I saw Gloria. We congratulate Gloria on her retirement. She's worked in the district since 1996 as an administrative secretary, and I know she retired a few months ago and was very much looking forward to it. So congratulations to Gloria.
Lisa McDowell. Lisa started in our district in 1991. Are you here? Her daughter's here. Your mother started in our district in 1991, working in the cafeteria at Jurupa Middle School. They still have the best cookies, too. They just can't serve them to kids anymore. In 1992, she transferred to Sky Country as a clerk typist and moved to the same position at Camino Real Elementary School in 2003. In 2009, she decided to follow her Camino kids to high school and joined the staff at Patriot High School. She worked as a clerk typist in the attendance office. Lisa is very active with her church and has served in a number of ministry roles. She also became a grandma for the first time in 2013 and is enjoying retirement and the chance to spend more time with her family and especially her grandson. I don't know what this is about grandkids. Congratulations.
Is Carol Patty here this evening? Carol, there she is. Yay. You're so little. I didn't see you back there. Congratulations.
I'm a little short one.
Carol began teaching in Jurupa in September of 1982 and has gone on to spend her entire career at West Riverside Elementary. Yeah, these are some West fans. It's amazing. During that time, Carol has provided a rich learning experience for so many students. Her sixth graders have had the privilege of being with her each day and benefiting from all of her hard work. When asked about Mrs. Patty, her students say that they love the way she treats them with kindness and patience, and they appreciate her lessons that often allow them to extend their learning into artistic activities. As the longtime gate coordinator, Carol has given of her own time and worked so very hard to give West Riverside's gate students challenging and engaging experiences and activities. Known for having a very generous and giving spirit, Carol is a beloved member of the West Riverside family. And the entire staff and community at West Riverside congratulate Carol on her excellent career and her retirement. And we wish you all the best in the future. Thank you.
Loretta Pierce. You hear Loretta? Loretta Pierce has been a dedicated teacher for 36 years and wanted to retire prior to this moment, I guess. For 25 of those years, she has been the consistent presence of the science department at Mission Middle School, providing students with the knowledge they need to grow and be successful. I just wonder how many kids, 36 years. Through the years, Mrs. Pierce has been an integral part of the development of generations of Jurupa Unified students with a no-nonsense approach that her students learn to love. She's a true scientist and hopefully will endeavor on some new experiments in retirement. Congratulations, Loretta.
And is Deborah Pekarsik here? Deborah? Deborah's taught students at Sunny Slope Avenue School for 15 years. She's excited about learning and shares that excitement with her students every day. We wish her all the best in her retirement, and go Deborah.
Rosemary Perks. Well, Rosemary was hired as a clerk typist in September 2001 at Pacific Avenue, and in 2003 transferred to Ina Arbuckle. She's the person that everyone goes to when they need supplies to set up a field trip, get help with their computer or printer. We will greatly miss her and wish her the very best in her retirement. Congratulations, Rosemary.
And I don't think I've seen Jerry Preciado. You back there somewhere? Jerry's dedicated 14 years to working in the Jurupa Unified School District, mostly as a campus supervisor at Jurupa Valley High School. We wish him all the best in his retirement.
Vicki Ridgely. Well, Vicki retired in May of 2013. She was a dedicated employee who always gave 100%, and given that she's had a year of retirement, we'll give her a free pass tonight. But we congratulate her on her retirement and wish her the very best.
Andrea Rowe. Hi, Andrea. Congratulations.
Thank you for your service.
Mrs. Rowe is an icon at Tross Street Elementary School, current completing her 30th year as a teacher. Andrea can best be described as a generous, caring, compassionate, and dedicated presence on campus. She's a prime example of promoting positive parent-teacher relationships. In the past, she has authored the PTA newsletter. She has led Cafe Literario to promote parent literacy. And for years, she has offered monthly kindergarten parent workshops on how to support their children's educational success. Mrs. Rowe is a dedicated professional, participating in curriculum development, serving on different committees over the years. She is dedicated to Tross Street Elementary School by helping out in activities such as our Reading is Fun planning and ordering books, organizing holiday performances, participating in our annual health fair, and countless committees throughout the years. We thank you for the impact you have made on our staff members, our children, and our community. After 30 years at Troth, we bid you a well-deserved and happy retirement.
Loretta Rubio. Loretta has faithfully served the food service department since 1988. She always has a high work ethic and willing to do whatever is needed to make the food service department a positive and successful place to work. We thank her for her dedication and positive influence to those around her and wish her all the best. Congratulations, Loretta. We wish you the best.
Ladare Sanner. Congratulations. Ms. Ladare Sanner received her bachelor's degree from Point Loma University and her master's degree from Azusa Pacific University. A product of Jurupa Unified Schools, attending Ina Arbuckle and Rustic Lane Elementary for her elementary education, and later Mission Middle School and Rubidoux High School. Ms. Sanner gave back to the district as a teacher for Nueva Vista High School for 37 years. She began her career in 1977. She has taught many subjects at Nueva Vista, such as Foods 1 and 2, Needlecrafts, Family Life, Consumer Education, Health, CPR certificate training. Ms. Sanner was always willing to pitch in and to help make Nueva Vista a better place, assisting with potlucks for students for Black History Month, Cinco de Mayo, and Christmas, as well as serving on committees such as School Site Council and Instructional Council. Coaching was part of her forte as well, serving as the co-ed volleyball coach and the girls softball coach. She was Nueva Vista's Teacher of the Year in 2013, and she credits the teachers in Jurupa Unified for sparking her interest in teaching, especially in the home economics field. Ms. Sanner is Jurupa's last home economics teacher. That's sad. Thank you for your years of service, Ladare.
Gary Shine. Are you here, Gary? I didn't see him. Gary Shine started as a custodian JUSD in 1985. His assignments included Jurupa Valley High School, Pelly, Indian Hills, Troth Street, Mission Bell, Miraloma Middle School, and Jurupa Middle School. He became head custodian at Miraloma in 1995 and moved to Jurupa Middle School in 2007 until his retirement in 2013. And think of how many students he's served and kept the schools clean for. Thank you, Gary, and we wish him the best.
Donna Smith. Donna Smith has been with the school district since 2006 as a bus driver, and we really owe it to those bus drivers. I don't know how they do what they do. She was also willing to assist as dispatcher. She did a wonderful job in transportation, and again, we wish her all the very best in retirement.
Bernadine Stanky. Not here. Well, she worked in Jurupa since 2004, where she also has been a school bus driver for our special needs students. There aren't two buses missing right now where they just converted them to motorhomes. She's taken the extra care and patience for all the students that she transports, and we congratulate her on her retirement. There are always two things in particular that strike me on this night. One is the dedication of service of all of our employees and the diversity of the jobs that it takes to do the school, all the work of the school, whether it's the difference in the types of classes that we all teach, or whether we're cleaning the school, preparing the food, driving the students, teaching the students, coaching the students, counseling the students, making sure the students are here, making sure the staff gets paid. Nobody in payroll retired this year. That's good. We all want to get paid. But the diversity of jobs is very, yes, we do. is really critical. And, you know, it's an old kind of hackney phrase that takes a village to raise a child, but think of the complexity it takes to run a school district. So thank you to all the retirees and to all of you for your dedication. Those of you that are young are probably thinking, I'll never be ready to retire, but you never know, because I started in the same year as I think the first person that started tonight. So, but Mr. President Pro Tem, would you like to say a few words before we take a break? No. All right, well, congratulations. We'll take a short break.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. And I would also like to personally extend my best wishes to all the retirees, and thank you, Ms. Elzig. I got that right this time, Mrs. Elzig, thank you. And next, we're going to proceed with our public verbal comments. This communication opportunity is included on the agenda of each regular board meeting, so citizens can make suggestions or identify concerns about matters affecting the school district or request an item be placed on a future agenda. The Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education encourages and invites the public to comment on items listed on the agenda or in matters within its subject jurisdiction. All questions to the board should be directed through the board president, and in order to help conduct the business of the board in an orderly fashion, we request that you read and follow the guidelines listed in the pink request to speak card. And as you do get called up to speak, you will each person will have a 3-minute limit for your comments. You will see as you come up that when you get started, the green light will light up for you to start off your time. When you have 1 minute left, the yellow lights will light up, and that will allow you an additional minute to wrap up your comments, and we would appreciate your cooperation in that. And so in that regard, if there's no further questions, we will call our first speaker up. Okay, first I would like to have Ms. Rayanne Magnan come to the podium.
Good evening, Trustee Mendez, trustees, and Mr. Duchan. The last time I was here, I told you that our ratification was voted down and that our bargaining team was going to go out and find out why.
Hello? Zero? Yes. Okay, there was some background noise. Okay. You couldn't hear us, or we I can hear everybody, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Well, here's the bottom line. We have not had a raise since 2007, and no one expected the economy to tank, but it did. And our NEAJ members stepped up, and they took the hits. And these hits came in the form of furlough days for several years, increased caseloads for guidance coordinators, increased class sizes for secondary teachers, reduced work year for extended work year employees, the complete loss of the positions of department chairs for secondary teachers and grade level representatives for elementary teachers, and the stipends for extra duties were reduced by 10%. And it is no secret that what JUSD has offered for health and welfare benefits has been the lowest out of 32 other districts we are often compared with. During this time, however, more and more was asked of teachers, district programs that teachers had to train in and plan for, as well as the expectation that the district's API would increase. Teachers continued to spend hours preparing for instruction, often spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars of their own money to purchase needed supplies, and those scores did rise. This year alone brought new programs to unit members: the implementation of Common Core, a new math program called Balanced Math, the start of a new behavior program called PBIS, and the implementation of a district-wide gradebook program, very difficult to maneuver, I hear, to name a few. Well, now we are in a time of increased funding, and unit members were hoping for a different outcome to negotiations. What was offered was a 3% salary increase, a 3% increase to the health and welfare benefits, a one-time off-schedule 1.2% for attending 2 mandatory staff development days, and a 3% salary compensation for increasing the workday by 23 minutes. Well, our members did the math on that last one, and they quickly found that 23 minutes is equivalent to 5.2%, and 3% equates to 13 minutes. I do want to mention that not everybody in our district takes the benefits, and many of those people felt that it was not fair that 3% was going to health and welfare and that they were missing out on a percentage. The teachers want to feel respected and appreciated for the hard work they do. And every time I come up here, I mention the wonderful teachers of Jurupa. We just said goodbye to 10 of them, fabulous teachers. The bargaining team did go to sites last week, and they heard various reasons why members were not happy. 3% simply too low, not enough compared to the $16 million that the concessions over the last 5 years saved the district. They felt that surcharges shouldn't increase. But the overriding part was about the minutes matching the percentage. Teachers also indicated that they want this resolved before the end of the school year. The district has made an offer of leaving the original tentative agreement as was originally offered. With the exception of the minutes, they're willing to offer 3% for 15 minutes. The bargaining team will return to the table tomorrow.
Excuse me, your time is up.
I just want to finish one sentence. And it is my sincere hope that with further negotiation, a final tentative agreement can be reached that will make everybody happy and be palatable for all. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Sylvia Holguin.
You know, really, as a classified employee, I don't understand why these teachers are here. Go red. Fantastic that they decide to wear red. I didn't go on to get a higher education, but I did think that peanuts was given to elephants for doing a good job, not teachers. These teachers have worked their butts off. They give, and when you think they can't give no more, there they are giving more. I have personally been at 3 sites, so I have seen this personally. I have seen teachers get and give out of their own pocket what they're not getting back. They've given up so much, and the lack of respect that this administration and this board shows them is ridiculous. There's no reason why these teachers should be here. They should be at home with their families celebrating the fact that they got what they wanted. Elliot, for the past, 7 years, you've been getting what you wanted. You didn't care about nobody else. You care about yourself and yours. And you know what? I'm sorry, but you're not in the classroom. You're not making those scores go up, and neither is your administrative staff. They can suggest all they want to high heaven, but the fact of the matter is that the people in those classrooms, the people that are making those scores up, the people that give from their heart, from the deepest part of their heart, are these teachers, not you. Not you. But yet, when those scores go up, oh, everybody congratulates you. Why? I mean, to me, that's the most ridiculous thing. You should be thanking your teachers. Once a year, you say how you have, well, not once, I'm sure it's more, but at least once, that's publicly done, you say how you have the greatest teachers and, you know, you would put them up against anybody. That is a fact. That is a truth that comes out of your mouth. Not many do, but that one is. These are the best teachers. I have had my kids in this district. I went through this district. These are the best teachers you could have. But you don't appreciate that because it's easy to speak from your mouth and say, oh, you guys are great, I appreciate it. But you know what? Why is that not coming from your heart? Because they give heart. Every day they go in and they give their heart to these kids. And thank God that they do. Thank God they don't resemble you, because what would our kids be getting? Nothing. You need to stop this nonsense on this bargaining stuff. You know what? What they wanted, they should have gotten straight up. They've given up so much. Classified has given up so much. That's what you told us. So when it got tough, we stood behind you. So now, why are you not doing the same thing? You can't keep all the money. And like I told you, at the end of the night, it doesn't matter how much money you have in your pocket. Because if you don't give for these kids, you're poor anyway. You're a poor soul. But these teachers will never walk out feeling poor because they're the richest people in the world because they give their hearts to these kids. Why don't you try doing the same?
Okay, next. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Bob Santiago.
Why the outrage? Why? I don't know why. I got good news. I'm going to give you all a raise. Now, I don't have much money, but I'm going to do it. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and extend a day an hour. But I'll pay you for half an hour. And you ought to be grateful. Because if you're not, I'm going to call you greedy and unreasonable. You ought to be grateful. Why the outrage? Why the disrespect?
Next, we have Robin. I hope I get to say this last name correct. Riggle? Robin Riggle.
Good evening, everybody. I thought it was wonderful that you appreciated everybody that retired. And we who are still working for you and for the children of this district would like to be appreciated. And that comes with being appreciated by being paid what we deserve. You insult us by saying that we need to work an extra 23 minutes a day or 15 or 13, whatever the math works out to be. I know myself and everybody else at my school works way more than 23 minutes a day out of the goodness of our heart. Just on Saturday, I was grading papers until 11 o'clock in the morning on my own time so that my students could get timely feedback. I just really feel like you're insulting us by asking us to do something that we already do. And you said that we got a 10% increase, and it's not. You should give us a true 10% increase.
Thank you. Mr. Maurice Castro.
Good evening, board members. Tonight is an evening of recognition, appreciation, and gratitude to the retirees, and congratulations to all the retirees. And all the teachers here are here to support that. But they're also here to talk about gratitude and recognition and respect. I was the bargaining chair who signed off on the tentative agreement that got voted down by our members. So I had to go out to all the sites to find out what happened. I thought it was good enough, and I was wrong. When I went out to the sites, I talked to our members, and they said, "Mo, we don't feel appreciated. We don't feel respected with the offer. It's not good enough. We've sacrificed. We've done what was necessary with all the cuts. We've given up a lot, but we did it because it was the right thing to do. And now with the offer, they didn't feel recognized, respected, and appreciated. That was the common theme that I saw. So they also said, you know, before, years ago, in Jurupa, we used to feel appreciated. We used to be up here, on top. We were the district to come to. Things are not that way anymore. People from other districts say, oh, you're in Jurupa, wow, things aren't too good over there, are they? And so there obviously needs to be a change. Things are not right. And I hope you as board members, and some of you are new this year, work to make that change. I worked very hard I worked hard all the time as bargaining chair. But after the TA got voted down, I worked very hard to try and express the sentiments of my membership about what happened with the agreement and why it got voted down. So I hope you guys think about that. I hope administration thinks about that and starts to change the mentality. Not only showing gratitude with beautiful plaques and nice letters of service for the people who are retiring, but showing that gratitude and appreciation when it comes to financial and professional decisions in our district. To support the teachers, to show that, hey, we care about you, you are important, you are a priority. I know I will do whatever I can in whatever aspect I can to support that cause and that change. So I hope you do the same. Thank you.
Ms. Darlene Alvarado.
Good evening. I just want to say thank you to all the teachers, but I'm here for something different. I do appreciate you guys, though, very much. What I do want to discuss with you guys, if you guys change the policy about the head lice. We have a big issue at our school where there's at least 20, 25 plus students that have active lice. And me as a volunteer and as a parent at that school, to me it's disgusting. You can literally see these creepy crawlers falling onto the desk. And for the district to say, no, they should stay at school, the students, and not be sent home, that's taking away the responsibility of the parent. Because me as a parent, my children come first. And I mean, I'm sure that there's other teachers out here and there's several parents out here that share the same opinion that we have, is to change it to where the last school year, which was 2012, 2013, they were allowed to be sent home, get your cleaning, whatever you have to do, and return to school. Not be sent home at the end of the day, get your treatment, come back to school the next day. And then if you still have it active, okay, you wait till the end of the day and then you send them home. I don't think that's fair for my child. My daughter is a very girly girl. I curl her hair, I leave it down. Now I can't do that because I'm so scared that if she comes in contact with someone, I know that they don't jump, they don't have wings, but yes, they do crawl and they fall. And they stay on your body for 6 hours alive. When the students get there at school, they leave their backpacks on the floor. Who is to say that these creatures are not crawling into the other person's backpack? You put it back on and there you go. You get it. What is to say that you're eating, it falls onto your food? That's disgusting. That is very disgusting. And I would want you guys to change that policy to where these students need to be sent home, get the proper treatment, and once you go back to school, have them get checked. If they still have it, send them home. Make the parents responsible for what they have to do. It's not their responsibility to babysit them and be, you know, careful not to get too close to them because you can see them crawling. And that is disgusting. You know, that to me, that is disgusting. Make parents responsible again. That is what I'm here for.
Ms. Rachel Williams.
Hello. I just wanted to say that when I first started in this district 18 years ago, as several people have attested to, we were like the top. When I got here, the fellow teachers were bragging, yeah, everybody wants to be here. We're like, in our area, we're the top district. And also at that time, we were in that small little district office, and it was like the friendliest place to go. It was like being in a small town, and everybody knew each other, and there was just great feeling between the teachers and all of the district personnel at that time. It wasn't a cliche to say we felt like part of a family or a community. At least me, I really truly did. But since then, I feel like a lot of bad feeling has been developing in our district between the teachers and the district in general. I feel that, teachers have met all of the requests on us with good faith. We put in long hours, you give us new challenges, and we're interested in facing them. We step up to advisory, to PBIS, to Common Core, to furlough days in good faith. I think that more than the money, it's that sense of broken promises, broken trust, betrayal that has made people feel highly disrespected because it didn't feel like the good faith worked both ways. In fact, I feel that in the last some years that I've been here, there's been more of a feeling of suspicion by teachers toward, what can happen to us from the district. A lot of hurt feelings, a lot of mistrust, rumors, and it just isn't good. I feel like this contract, this was a chance for mending fences, for repairing some of the bad feelings, for bringing back the trust. But instead, we were met with an insultingly low offer of 3% in actual real pay raise, and just broken promises again, because we understood that when we gave up, it was to be given back later when things got right. And I'm sad to know that new teachers in our district never knew the really great district that I knew when I first started, and that I thought you guys might have brought back with a good bargain here. And I just really respectfully ask the members of the board to encourage the district to really do the right thing by their teachers. I just want to say that I have loved loving my job, but truly, slowly but surely, there's this whittling away of the joy and the morale through these kinds of things that have gone on lately. And I just wish that we could get back to the great mutual feeling, great place that we once were. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. George Monke.
Good evening, school board. Really what we've been hearing tonight throughout the entire evening is a description of a relationship. And a relationship, in order to be genuine, real, and healthy, has to be based on trust, honesty, and a fulfillment of mutual commitments. What we have seen in this round of bargaining is a failure on all counts of this. An initial tentative agreement was described as a 10% increase. It was not. Much of that increase was based upon extra work for some extra pay, not the full amount of extra pay that would be due for that extra work. Okay, we are being asked to work extra time at a discounted rate. Okay, the new offer continues that same inequity. We need to be paid commensurate to the amount of extra work for the same amount of commensurate extra pay. That's a fundamental in virtually any job anyone goes to, from McDonald's or Taco Bell on up. We don't work extra for less pay. Additionally, the breach of trust Last year, with the tentative agreement, the district made a commitment that given the receival of local control funding monies, that it would continue the so-called one-time $860 payment to the health and welfare plan. The other condition was that the student enrollment would not decline more than 300. As we now know, both of those conditions have been met, and yet the district continues to advertise that absent a new agreement, that the health and welfare contribution will now revert to $6,127. Okay, that is a breach of good faith. It may be a breach of good faith bargaining. Okay, we need to have honesty in our bargaining. We need to have honesty in our communications with our memberships. We need to be able to trust when the district and its leaders make a commitment to us, they will see it through. If they cannot abide or follow an agreement made last year going forward, how can we trust them moving on into the future? So I will ask the school board to look deeply into the negotiations, analyze it, perhaps ask teachers to describe how we are interpreting, these arrangements that are being made. I believe that we can restore a relationship, but much of that responsibility extends not just to the teachers, but for the oversight of the school board in this entire process. We look forward to working with the school board. We will look forward to continuing working with school administration. But really, if we're going to have respect, it has to be two ways. It has to be mutual. It has to be consistent, and it has to be honest. I don't think that's too much to ask for.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Matt George.
Hi, thank you for listening to me. I'm a new teacher, so I'm not quite as articulate and passionate, but I'm going to do my best here. I teach photo at Rubidoux, and you know the cliche, like the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, there you go. Something's not right. I don't think the offer's good. I think we can do better. And it's my hope that you guys will listen to everybody that's talking and go back and see what the teachers desire and see if we can make it better.
Ms. Rhonda Fuller.
Good evening, everyone. There's a lot going on here tonight, and I'm obviously here to talk about what's important to most of the sea of red sitting in this room. I just have a few notes I'm going to go over here really quick. We had a record turnout for voting on our tentative agreement, as you already know, and we said no. We said no, it's not good enough. And I want to give you a few reasons why I think that happened. I've been a teacher in this district at the same high school for 25 years. Never changed. And in that time, I have worked for both the best paying district and the worst in Southern California. I have seen 7% retroactive pay increases in my salary. I've seen 3% cuts. I personally experienced 16 furlough days when most teachers had 7 or 5. I make less today than I did 3 years ago. How does that work? That should never happen. I didn't change positions or assignments. I'm doing the same thing now that I was then. The TA that was sold to us as a 10% increase sounded great until we did the math and realized it wasn't 10%, it was a meager 3. It was a blatant falsity tried to be sold to us. As well, not only we got a 3% increase in our wages, but also an increase in our workload. We did, however, see an increase to health and welfare, which should never be included as a pay raise. We don't all benefit from that. We keep hearing over and over again that we just cannot compare ourselves to surrounding districts. And I want to know why. Why is that? Our superintendent, who, by the way, has gotten raises in the past 7 years, his salary is compared to superintendents in the area. Our students' test scores and achievement is compared to surrounding districts and schools in Southern California. Our contract should absolutely be compared to others. All of us put in many, many, many more hours than we are paid for, and we do that willingly with no expectation of compensation. We knew that getting into this job. I will tell you that again, personally, I am contractually required to work an additional 240-ish hours a year, and last year I worked a mere 700 of those extra hours. Not including prep time, grading papers, chaperoning dances and other activities, like I'm sure a few of these other people also do. So to say that I or we don't compare to our surrounding
Cloward, your time's
districts
up. You can wrap up
is
your
a
comments.
slap in the face. We deserve more, and we demand more.
That concludes our public verbal comment section, and we're ready to move on with the rest of our agenda. And so at this time, we would like to move on to administrative reports and written comments. Communications. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. I just have some dates to give you tonight. I'm going to wait for a minute.
I don't. No,
If they have pink cards, they should bring them up. We don't have them up here.
I can read the ones I have up here. I have Rayanne. I have Janice Cloward, who just spoke right now. I have. I'm sorry. Did I skip her? My apologies. I thought I called her. My apologies. She may come up now. Thank you. Is there anybody else besides that has not spoken that submitted a card? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Ducharme. I just really want to speak on behalf of the teachers. I know a lot of us are here for that today. As you're aware, a month ago, I was honored with the 2014 Jurupa Unified District Teacher of the Year. And even since that day, every day I go to work and I see my colleagues. Every day I attend the secondary math program committee. Every day that I attend the unit of study committee. I wonder why me? Because there are so many great teachers in this district. Every single one of them could have been awarded District Teacher of the Year. There's not one person in this room. The commitment that they all made to come tonight, I think, speaks for itself. I think back to that night when they honored the teachers, and I remember Ms. Elzig and Mr. Ducharme continually kind of laughing and pointing out the fact that as they read about each teacher, duty after duty after duty that everybody does, nobody is just a teacher. We love this district. We chose this district. We have given everything that we have for you, for our kids. And I think all we're asking now is that over the past however many years with budget cuts and everything, we continue to step up. I think we're asking you to step up. Thank you.
Is there anyone else I missed? Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Okay, we're ready now to go to administrative reports and written communications. Mr. Dabrowski.
Okay, tonight I just want to give you some dates, and they are dates as a part of the LCAP approval process. And so I just wanted to let you know that on May 16th, the LCAP will be posted on the web for public review, to be followed up by the June 2nd board meeting. You'll receive a report from my department on the LCAP itself. And then at June 16th, the next board meeting, there'll be a public hearing regarding the LCAP. And then at our special board meeting on June 19th, we'll be asking you to approve or finally approve the LCAP as well. So I just wanted to have those 4 dates, and that's all I have tonight for CCSS and LCAP.
Thank you. And then item B, report on the AAA Academy. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Tonight, Mr. Trujillo is here to provide you with a report on the status of the AAA Academy. I just want to get one little plug in, and as you know, last year we were awarded some models of academic excellence by the county, and we submitted some for consideration this year, and one of those that we're 2/3 of the way through that process will be for recognizing the AAA Academy. So we fully expect that that'll be recognized as an exemplary countywide program. And Mr. Trujillo is here tonight to talk with you about that.
Good evening, Mr. President Pro Tem Mendez, members of the board, Mr. Duchamp, cabinet, and some of the audience that remains. I have the great pleasure of giving you a little bit of a status report of our AAA Academy 9th grade program. And as Mr. Dabrowski just shared with you, approximately 10 days or so ago, we received a site visit. The purpose of the site visit is to validate our application to the Riverside County Office of Education for the Model of Excellence Award that we applied for this program. So in the brief time that I had with you today, Mr. Dabrowski I made a promise to him that I would try to keep it short to allow for questions there at the very end. But in the brief time that I have with you, these are the things I'd like to cover with you. A little bit about the historical background for AAA, why AAA, give you an update or a status report on our first 2 years of operation, and then currently what our challenges are and what our thoughts are moving forward. So a little bit of historic information. When I first came on to the position of Director for Secondary Education, one of the very first things I did was meet with the high school principals to gather from them their input insofar as their biggest challenges that were facing the high schools and the high school principals and the teachers. What came through loud and clear from each of them, and I remember this too myself as a high school principal, was the increasingly challenging dilemma of students who are credit deficient and at risk of not graduating. In fact, as we poured through the data, we looked at over 8 years worth of data to try to get a good picture of this phenomenon that was plaguing our district, and we found some interesting discoveries. But it was that initiative approximately 3 years ago that launched us into the AAA Academy of today. Some of the data that we discovered, for example, at the time, our most recent cohort group of 9th graders, that is, we looked at cohorts of students, that is, what did they look like, or what was their performance record coming in at 9th grade, and what did that look like at the end of their 12th grade year. And one of the things that really discouraged us a good deal, and we were quite concerned about, is the fact that we lose a lot of students and we don't know where they go. So they came into us as 9th graders, and I'm talking about our most credit deficient 9th graders. Those 9th graders who coming from 7th and 8th grade are already at risk. They haven't had a very good success at the middle school level, 7th grade or 8th grade. And in some ways, we already know that that their graduation probabilities is much reduced. But nonetheless, looking at these ninth graders, we found that by the time they reached 12th grade, that a good many of them, approximately 76 when we looked at this last set of data, weren't accountable. That is, no schools asked for their records. They didn't withdraw. They just simply vanished. And our fear was that these students were more than likely dropouts at this time. We also looked at these ninth graders who maybe they did stay with us, but what was their prognosis for graduation? And we found that as many as 172 students at that time, 11th and 12th graders, were too far behind to earn the credits necessary for high school graduation. That is, they weren't going to attend Nueva Vista High School because Nueva Vista High School pulls students in who are within reach with some, deliberate effort on their part to obtain a diploma. These were students who were essentially coming to school every day as 11th and 12th graders, but essentially were just coming and not earning credits and were essentially going to be non-grads. So it was data such as this that really caused us to rethink and evaluate what we are doing at the high school levels to make a better difference for our at-risk student population. Some of our findings, or our learnings, if you will, in looking at this data was that, number one, high schools, despite their very best efforts, working alone, can't make the biggest impact that they would like to make with some of these students. That is, their budgets are limited, their resources are limited, and it's difficult, again, alone as individual high schools. We also found that waiting for 11th and 12th grade, that is waiting for students to be credit deficient before we do something about it, is too late, as you saw on the previous slide, because the problem compounds over year. So maybe, for example, in 9th grade, they are just, 5, 10, 15 credits behind. But then in sophomores, they're a few more credits behind. And then in juniors, they're so far behind that, of course, at that point, it's almost a loss of hope for them. And as I showed you, we just lose students and we fear that they're dropouts. So these were some of the main reasons that caused us to reevaluate and come up with what is now our AAA program. We also discovered that we can identify these students before 9th grade. That is, in 7th grade and 8th grade, as middle schoolers, they already have a profile. And that profile essentially is those students who at 7th grade or 8th grade already have a number of D's and F's in the classroom, despite maybe how they performed in the elementary school. There are also students who have an overall cumulative, that is their GPA over all of their schooling, that they have a lower GPA. And then also the district and the state test scores. So looking at those three measures, we can identify those students who we perceive to be most at risk. And those are those students earlier that I talked about insofar as the non-grads and or those who vanish. The AAA program, and this is one of the main messages we have to share with parents because they're not initially very excited about the program. There's a little bit of trepidation on their part. They had hopes of their children going to the regular home high school, and now at this moment we're saying AAA is for you. So initially there's a little bit of concern, but it's not a behavioral program. It's really focused on academic support. So that's a little bit about the history of AAA. So what is AAA? I believe that some of this information is information that the board is already aware of. But essentially, AAA is a program by which the students are in smaller class sizes. It's a program where during the school day support and a real focus on academics is emphasized. It's a program where students may earn up to 85 credits in one school year versus the 60 at the typical high school. That is giving them a little bit of a cushion for their continuing years in high school. It's a program that focuses on higher order critical thinking and creative skills, those skills that are necessary for 21st century careers as well as college. It's a program that I believe that it's the most technology-rich classroom that we have, or classrooms that we have in our district. So insofar as having state-of-the-art technology, that's one of the benefits of attending AAA. There's strategic parent outreach, meaning that the teachers reach out to parents on a near weekly basis. Additionally, we have we're planning for the future in particular, we're planning for 6 trainings or support events throughout the year to try to help equip our parents with the necessary knowledge and information to better support their students. We have a monthly recognition and reward program, thereby rewarding students for their efforts, because these students typically don't have success, and so every little bit of success matters. And finally, and this represents one of our challenges, it's being more successful in trying to successfully transition the students from 9th grade to 10th grade. So those are just some of the benefits or some of the details of program particulars about AAA. Perhaps the best resource of all is in fact the teachers who work there at AAA. These teachers are highly motivated and they are dynamic. They're focused on high expectations. They don't accept failure. The picture there depicts what Hollywood represents as our best teachers, right? So whether it's, Edward James Olmos in Stand and Deliver, or, the actress there, I forget her name, from the Freedom Writers, or Dead Poet Society, Robin Williams. It takes more than a Hollywood budget and talent as an actor to teach children. It actually takes expert knowledge, supreme skill, and unconditional love, and this is what these teachers possess in AAA. So a little bit of our results. We're very pleased about the program results. And when I say program, I'm talking about what happens in 9th and 10th grade. So for example, there you see year 1, which was last year, and year 2, which is this year, first semester results. So for example, you see that over the 2-year period, 96 and 99% of our freshmen at the conclusion of that 9th grade year are on track to graduate. You see that 70% last year and 83% achieved a GPA of 2.0 or higher. You can also see that 87% last year and 88% this year improved their GPA over their 8th grade year, which is quite challenging given the rigor, the much more difficult classrooms and the expectations that teachers have at the high school level. And you can see there that the number of credits earned by our AAA students last year was 78.73, and this year after first semester it's 38.69, so we're on par to match, if not better, last year's overall results. So we're very pleased about that data. However, we're looking at the student success far beyond just 9th grade. So how did and we're calling them our alum, how did our 10th graders do? So they were in AAA last year, and this year they're 10th graders. Approximately 70 of them still remain. I believe last year we ended the year with approximately 88, maybe 89 students. So you can see that we've seen a reduction. There's some we have 70 remaining. 76% of those students remain on track to graduate after first semester this year. So you can see that the challenge is increasing some for our students. And 13% achieved a 2.0 or higher, versus last year, you know, from the previous slide, you see it was much more. And the average first semester results for our current 10th graders is that they achieved 15 credits out of the 30 that they're eligible for in 10th grade. Those numbers are not numbers that we are happy with, quite frankly. we have learned a few things, and some of the things that we have learned are contained on this next slide. Well, let me go, before we go back. Let me just explain what that bottom portion there where it says control group. There are a number of students who we wanted in the program, we thought they would be in the program, but for a variety of reasons, they didn't get into the program. We can only take 100, give or take, into that AAA program. So that control group represents students who were identified for AAA, but did not make it into AAA. So what's happened to them? In some ways, it's kind of like the proxy, right? You can see that those students who we identified as at risk continue to be significantly at risk. Not one of those students is on track to graduate. Whereas at 10th grade, for right now, 76% are on track to graduate. So whereas we're not happy with the 76%, you can see that the program benefits are still with us. Not one student of that control group has a GPA above 2.0. That's either in 9th grade or in 10th grade. And the average semester failures for that control group students is a 5 each semester. So, that says that AAA is having a desired result, but not as high as we'd like it, given our 10th grade data report. So these are some of our current thinking and our steps to continuously improve the program, and in particular address the needs of our 10th graders who will soon be our 11th graders and then the continuing upperclassmen in the years to come. What we find is that many of our 10th graders are experiencing their 9th grade-like challenges as 10th grade. Because, in the AAA program as 9th graders, we sort of secluded them. We gave them the caring adults. We have worked with them very carefully, strategically, and essentially we have done everything to not allow them to fail. But now when they go back into their regular home high schools, in many respects, they are experiencing for the first time that 9th grade freedom and maybe some of that 9th grade difficulty without those programmatic supports. So we also recognize that in some ways we had hoped, maybe we prayed that the AAA program would, quote, fix our students after the 9th grade year, right? So despite many years of challenge and difficulty, many years of being behind grade level, were we able in 1 year's time to remediate or intervene on their behalf? And the truth of the matter is that no, we were not. We see that our most challenging at-risk students will need continuing ongoing support, and that's kind of where we are today. So part of that ongoing support and going forward, and some of this was already in place this year, but we've increased some of those supports at the semester time of this year, and we are going to be continuing and expanding the supports coming next year. But those supports include things like peer mentors and continuing advisory. So that is, our students will have caring adults who are responsible for monitoring their progress and being there as a support provider, as well as in designated classes, peer mentors or tutors. That's something brand new that just starting this year for 10th grade for our 10th grade alumni students. So we see the early results of that class. It's because we only started at semester time, but the early results are that the majority of those students are improving their grades and their performance in the classroom. So we think this is a prototype for years to come. We want to continue to offer, if you will, some support classes for our 10th grade students during the school day. So that might take the form of double blocks of English or double blocks of math, or that we call it Power Up. It's sort of like a designated homework teacher support class for their academic needs. We're also looking at a summer bridge, so we want to thank the cabinet as well as the board for allowing us to expand our summer school offerings. Part of our charge there and our plan is to offer summer bridge courses to our 10th graders so that they can get a leg up on that 10th grade year going forward. And finally, and I've talked about it just a little bit in terms of alternative schedules, one of the things that the students have talked about as a benefit of AAA is that they only have 4 classes. There's 4 classes that are much longer in length, whereas once they go into 10th grade, they go from 4 to 6. And just that small change of 4 to 6 classes, they have identified is a challenge. So there's no written rule that says we must offer, those 6 academic classes in 10th grade, or 5 if you include PE. Why could we not perhaps consider some alternative scheduling to allow them maybe not to have 6 classes, but 5 classes, for example, and then maybe as juniors, maybe they move up to 6. So scaffolding our supports along the way. So luckily, the principals, to include all 3 comprehensive high school principals, as well as Ms. Markham at Nueva Vista High School, are 100% behind the vision and the goal for AAA, and that is that every student identified in the program at 9th grade will graduate by their senior year. So that's our goal. So that's the formal part of my information for you, and should you have any questions, or should I be able to provide anything more, I'm happy to do so. Mr. Hernandez?
I'd like to ask a question. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Tell me what your transition plan looks like.
So the transition plan begins second semester of the 9th grade year, in which we begin to, we bring a series of the home high school staff over, for example, whether it be the guidance coordinators, the campus supervisors, the counselors, the athletic director, the ASB advisors, but we bring over the cadre of support provided from the home high school to begin building those relationships with the students. This year, we also began to have meetings with their teachers or their prospective teachers of the coming year. So that's part of their transition plan. In the classroom, the teachers began to be a little bit less tolerant, maybe, of some of those the late assignments being turned in. They become a little bit less tolerant of multiple opportunities to succeed for retests and quizzes and things along those lines. The transition plan includes at the home high schools designated advisories. So, for example, at Rubidoux High School or at Patriot High School, where we have the advisory program, the AAA students go together into a specific teacher's classroom who has some expert knowledge and skill working with at-risk youth. So that's one of the things that's offered at Jurupa Valley. It's not a specific classroom, but a specific, almost like an after-school club that works with the students in that way. Next year going forward, as I mentioned, it's also going to include that support class during the school day, which is something that didn't start, for example, this particular school year. It's also going to include, I'm going to say, specialized scheduling. That is, we all know that some teachers have, a skill set that maybe is a little bit different from other teachers in working with some of our most challenging and disenfranchised or low-achieving students. So if you will, trying to identify that expert teacher who has a heart and a passion for working with our at-risk youth. That's part of the transition plan.
So how do you know a program is successful? What is your rating system on knowing that it is successful and we're doing what we need to do?
Sure.
And also because I have a lot of questions, and I'll hit you up later on those. That way I don't take too much time. But
so essentially for AAA, our primary goals that we measure is credit attainment and GPA, because the overarching goal for AAA is that these students who have been identified as most at risk graduate. So we sort of monitor their progress year over year, and ultimately, did they or what percentage of them graduate? So those are the 2 primary drivers. We also measure and reward attendance, because oftentimes high attendance and high achievement go hand in hand. So those are the 3 main drivers or measures that we monitor.
Ms. Johnson, you had a question?
How many now you identify these kids at the end of 8th grade?
Yes.
And before they move up to ninth grade in the high school.
Yes.
So when they're going into this program, they are already in high school.
I'm sorry, when they go into this program, they are all...
In AAA, you're already in high school. They've already been identified. How many of these, you only can take 100, is that right? In the program?
Yes.
So how many do you feel, on an average, in any given school year, how many are not in the program that could be in the program or should be in the program?
We identify approximately, I'm going to say about 100 and maybe 135 students, give or take, who, according to that criteria which I shared earlier, would be those that would be best served in the program. So I'm going to say it's probably somewhere between 100 to that 135, 40 students. We overshoot it just a little bit because we know going from 8th grade to 9th grade, there's going to be a little bit of loss of some of our students. So we overshoot it a little bit, but I would say, the number right about as we serve right now, I think is, seems to be a reasonable number. I wouldn't say it's much more than that.
I see. So then you have to narrow your criteria then in order to disqualify some of them so that you can keep the most critical in the program, right?
That's correct.
Does it have to be 9th grade? I mean, one of the things I see is I believe that the downturn starts in 7th grade. You won't know the first semester, but I think you could tell by the beginning of the second semester in 7th grade that the kids are in trouble. Now, they've waited from 7th grade all the way through 8th grade. They evaluated in 9th grade when they come back to school, I assume. Do you know the beginning of the school year in 9th grade that they're at risk and they're going to be in this program? Is that correct?
Yes, we do. It's hard to say for certain what that program might look like at 7th grade. For sure, there are students who coming into 7th grade, if not going on to 8th grade, we already sort of have a sense about insofar as how difficult does school come for them or not. But I'm going to say that I don't think the numbers are maybe quite as high at the 7th grade or the 8th grade level as they are in the 9th grade, in part because there's a real increase in rigor and expectations at the 9th grade. In part it's because the students maybe don't really have a good sense of, well, what happens if I don't earn my credits at 7th grade or if I don't pass the class at 8th grade. They can, if you will, fail a class and still move on to the next grade level. And we all understand the reasons why retention is generally not a very good, research-tested intervention. So we try to not, retain students. But that being said, I just don't know that the numbers would be as easily identified in terms of a good number of them at 7th or 8th grade. There is, we looked at successful transition or 9th grade programs and academies across the country as principals and I were planning what ours might look like here in Jurupa. And so I think it's fairly common to see struggling youth at 9th grade. And that's not to say we couldn't do something better at 7th grade or at 8th grade, but I feel confident that we picked the right grade level.
I think probably they're more easily identifiable when they're older. Now I think back to 7th graders, they're in a new school. They were big shots in 6th grade and they're at the bottom when they get in 7th grade and they start to, it's a kind of a confusing time, and probably reality doesn't set in to most of them on how critical it is for their grades to be good until they hit the 8th grade if they're not doing well. What determines at risk, and does the language have an effect on that, or we're not talking about whether they're English proficient or not? What are we talking about? We're not talking about intelligence, are we? What are we talking
No,
about? We're talking about
there are
at-risk.
probably, and I know Mr. Duchamp wanted to say something as well, there are many definitions of at-risk. For us, in AAA, the at-risk is those students who academically, that is by GPA, and by test scores, appear to have a profile similar to the years past when we've studied the data, puts them at risk of credit attainment. So it's a little, those are the, so what's in terms of credits and GPA, because those two things usually go hand in hand. Other at-risk characteristics could include, parents who are not educated. We don't look at that factor. It could be students who come from, lower socioeconomic households. We don't look at that factor. Those are two at-risk characteristics, perhaps. It could be language, as you mentioned. That's not a characteristic or a factor that we look at. It's exclusively academics, GPA, and credit attainment. So again, that's why we look at the D's and F's in middle school and test scores in 7th and 8th grade in particular. That's probably the best proxy for that at-risk designation. But then we also look at the cumulative over the many school years.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to comment, Mrs. Johnston, that the answer to your first question is why not 7th grade is that's not mutually exclusive. We had to start somewhere. And again, we're still, even this year, actually, people don't want to hear this, but we're still operating at less than what we had in 07, 08. We saw that as a critical program, and we're going to look at programs like this as we develop our LCAP. The other thing is the interventions in elementary and middle school are much more extensive and don't deal with credit that students gain in high school. So we're taking the students that have not responded to the earlier interventions and putting in a critical juncture right there. And as Mr. Trujillo said, traditionally, this has been the first point in most districts where they intervene with a separate program that's outside of the regular school. All the other programs are embedded in classes with interventions or something else. So.
Mr. Schaefer, did you have a question or comment?
I just have two quick questions. It's an admirable program, basically because you're helping these students. They don't have the behavior issues, if I understand right. It's basically academic support, helping them get over that hurdle. Number one, Common Core is going to be very challenging for all students. How is it going to affect these students that are already challenged?
Yeah, that's something that we are planning for. And for example, some of the teachers who are serving on our Common Core committees, or if you will, the units of study committees, are in fact teachers from the AAA. But I'll give you an example that the students who are in AAA, and we have a fantastic math teacher there who was the Nueva Vista Teacher of the Year, but the test scores for our AAA students in that math teacher's classroom were among the highest in the district. So it isn't as much as that they can't do it. These teachers have an unwavering belief in their abilities and set a very high expectation for them to succeed, and they will not let them fail. So part of it is just a mindset, a mental frame that these teachers have for these students. The challenge is to develop similar mindsets, across the district. But they're getting, right now, that those ninth grade classes, they're getting, a pure dose of the Common Core curriculum expectations, whether it be in language arts and or mathematics. So I'm going to say the rigor is the same, if not higher, in the AAA program. The challenge for these students is that when they go from those 4 to those 6 classes, as I said, or they go to a classroom where maybe the teacher isn't quite as adamant, or maybe not as quite as passionate about not accepting one's best, which is something that's done after AAA.
The other question, apparently there's 100 enrolled, and these numbers you have for 2013, 2014, it says 70 students are still enrolled. So did 30% drop out, or did they go back to their base school or site, or what happened to them?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of those things. So we ended the year where we started last year, year one, with I think it was about 104, maybe 105 students enrolled in the program. By year's end, we had approximately 88 or 89, if I'm not mistaken, students. So just from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, we had some of that loss. And then, of course, ending the year and then starting this year at the end of the first semester, we've gone from 88, 89 to approximately 70. So some of those students have essentially just dropped or left the district. Some may be unaccounted for. Some have maybe gone, well, they're already at their home high schools. So to be honest, I don't know precisely about all of them, but I would say that it probably represents a little bit of, some have dropped, some have moved, some are unaccounted for.
And of the, maybe I'm reading this wrong, it says 70 students are still enrolled, and then it says 76% are on track to graduate. Is that 76% of the 70?
Yes.
How are we going to help the ones that are, is it basically credits and GPA, why they're not graduating? And how do we help them GED-wise or whatever? What can we do to help them get that diploma?
Yeah, so it goes to the question that Mr. Hernandez asked, and that is, what are we doing as part of the transition plan? So one of the things we learned this year is that AAA didn't fix them, if you will, in 1 year's time. So when we saw by the end of their first semester, actually we saw it earlier, like at the 6-week mark, grading period, we looked and we thought, oh my goodness, look at our 10th graders, they've like hit the wall. It's like, well, maybe they'll get better after the 12-week mark. And then the 12-week mark came and it's like, oh my gosh, some of them got better, but some of them, didn't. So what can we do? And that's where at the semester time, essentially one of the interventions or one of the strategies was to create a support class for those students made up of a caring adult. Research shows, that's the biggest contributor to student learning and student success, as well as mentors or tutors into the classroom. So it's almost I think it's like a 3-to-1 students to a peer mentor support in that classroom. And that's what I was, maybe I didn't explain it well, but that's one of we think the best strategies we have to support these students. But essentially the answer is we're going to continue to closely monitor them and make adjustments or add increasing layers of support, because what they've done in 9th grade is, as proud as we are of those results, and we're about to get recognized, I believe, for being a model of excellence. If these students don't graduate, then we would have not been successful in AAA. So we are as committed to their success in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade as we are to 9th grade. We're just learning and planning and adjusting as we go.
We also provide other things in the district. There's summer school opportunities to gain credit. Some of these students may end up at Nueva Vista, where when they're a junior or senior, if they're still credit deficient, to make up for credits. We're looking over the next number of years to expand our online and even Rivercrest offerings to students who are credit deficient. So again, we're now in year 2 of this program, so we intend to tweak it. So, our goal is everybody graduates, and, while that may or may not be possible, that's what we're going to head for. As Mr. Trujillo said, we want everyone there.
I commend the program. There is 100 students that, instead of being in front of teachers, would be in front of sheriff's deputies. I commend them, this program. Yes, there is tweaking to do. You're learning just as the students are learning. Is there anything we can provide you, or as you're tweaking this, you see that you will need to improve these numbers, which are good, but we'd like 100%. But is there anything you need for your program?
I would ask that the teachers continue to receive and the principals continue to receive your support, just your recognition for a job well done, similar to the things that we've heard already today, from the good many of teachers that are there. the principals and the teachers, I think, already feel a fair amount of support from the district administration. I'm going to say not yet, other than just your well wishes and maybe your continuing expectations for us to succeed, because we have those same expectations of ourselves.
I have one more.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, and just was what you just said, you know, around 90 students passed AAA last year, right?
Approximately.
I'm just using that as
yes,
around, because
yes,
you
sir.
said 88, and I'm thinking around 90. And I'm not very good at math, but 70% of those are still being successful, which averages out to about 63%. So a 63% a success that we're going to be looking at then?
Well, I would not be happy with a 63%. Similar to what the program goals are and what we've heard, we want to see all students graduate. So we're not happy with 60%. We're not happy with the 70% if it's the number of the remaining 70. It's hard to, to figure in maybe those who are still not with us or not, because they may be having success elsewhere, although we don't know that. But no, ultimately, we're not happy with that percentage, although it is far higher than those who are not in AAA, but we'd like to see it increase.
I guess I was just looking for a number that I can say it's a successful program. And when I did this math, which again, I'm not good at math, I got 63%, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so that's going to be our success rate. But if there's another number you want to provide to me,
we're going after all of them.
If one student graduates that wouldn't, we're happy, but we want them all to graduate. So there is no number. The number is every one of them.
And if we look at the control group and use that as sort of what might have been, then I think that percentage is a big success. It's not what we want to see yet.
One more thing, the 35 that you said that, they've already been targeted because you've been trying to identify 100. The other 35 are already identified. So I'm thinking, are there ingoing teacher, or however you call it, the teacher that's going to receive these students?
The ones who didn't get into the AAA?
The ones that you can't accommodate in the AAA program. Are their teachers aware that, they need a little bit more help? Is this information going with them into, what is it, 9th grade?
Yeah, I'm going to say they're aware to the extent that they maybe look into the student information system and review the students' transcripts or academic history. We don't purposely go out and, if you will, communicate or advertise or share that, these students are somewhat, if you will, at risk. I think, good teachers in this district would already know that, because they try to get a feel for the students who are in their classrooms almost immediately. I know that I did that when I was a teacher, and whether it's me just, through interactions with them, diagnostic testing maybe early on, or for those that I maybe have a little bit of an inkling or I'm not sure about, I then go back and look at their CUME folder or their academic history to obtain a little bit more information. So I'm going to say I would expect that most teachers become aware, if not immediately, as necessary when they have that suspicion.
Well, I hope that is true, but I don't think it necessarily is true for every teacher, Trying to think what I was thinking.
Remember also, our guidance coordinators are constantly tracking their credits and where they are in relation to graduation. So it's not as if they go back into the mainstream and they're lost forever. So typically, many of the students that begin in this program or would have qualified end up in continuation high school or some other alternative. So in the end, we hope they'll be, well, actually, I don't want to say that, because I think continuation high school is a viable option for many students and better than a comprehensive high school. But many of the students will not need to do that. They'll be tracked back to a comprehensive high school.
And one more thing I want to say is I agree with you when you say that sometimes when you expect more, and you have to expect more from these kids because they don't think they have it in them. But if their teachers are expecting more, they're giving more. Maybe a little more if you don't, from the average student, but you don't know what else is holding them back. And it may have nothing to do with academics. It might be how they feel about themselves or whatever the issues are for them. But I do believe in expecting more gets more. Some just simply are lazy thinkers. Maybe just nobody's expected a lot of them, and so here they are now in high school. And we all think as soon as you hit 9th and 10th grade, your life is critical all of a sudden because you're going to graduate, hopefully, in a few years. Anyway, thank you for your presentation.
We agree for sure. Come in, especially at the beginning of the year, to any of our AAA teachers' classrooms at lunchtime, and you will see rooms filled because these students are not used to having to do their homework. And the policy for AAA teachers is what's the consequence for not doing your homework? It's not a 0 or a low grade. The consequence is doing your homework. And they will be doing it that very next day during lunchtime.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Appreciate the report. And that brings us down to item 4C, publicized memorandum of understanding with CSEA 392. Mr. Selzig.
Thank you. This is the night that we publicized the MOU with CSEA. Highlights of this memorandum of understanding include a 3% increase to salary, an increase to health and welfare to the allowance of $8,565, an additional step to their salary schedule, and also we were able to restore some of the hours that were cut during the fiscal crisis to elementary media center clerks, instructional aides, and I believe one career center clerk. I may be forgetting one. Library technicians. Thank you. Library technician. So we're pleased about that as well. This will come back to the board at the next meeting for your approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Selzig. And next we have review approval of the 2013-14 second interim financial report. Mrs. Ford.
Yes, we received a notification from our COE that the district's 2013-14 second interim financial report has received a positive certification, so we're happy about that. As part of the district's positive certification, the county found that the district was able to maintain their 3% required reserve and meet its long-term non-voter approved debt. And our COE also found the district's assumptions for projected ADA, cash flow, and the LCFF gap funding percentage to be reasonable. They did caution that since ADA is the basis for the majority of the unrestricted revenue, that the district should closely monitor attendance changes, which we will do. And they also recommend the district closely monitor its cash flow, especially if the state deferrals are still in place in 14-15. Further guidance about related to the 2014-15 budget will be coming from the county once the governor has issued his May revise, and I'll be bringing additional information to the board that outline the key elements of the governor's proposed budget. The certification letter is provided in your supporting documents.
Thank you. Item E, other administrative reports and written communications.
And there are none.
Thank you. We're moving on to our action session then. Item A, I need a motion to approve routine action items by consent, items 1 through 9.
I'll make the motion to approve items A, 1 through 9.
Motion by Ms. Schmidt.
Second.
Second by
I
Mr.
have one.
I'm sorry. You have a question?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry. What?
Sorry, I have one correction to be made on the disbursement orders on line 94, on the disbursement orders report. That should read in the description, insurance policy, not supplies.
Okay, correction noted, and we still have a motion then with the corrections. Is that all right with you then, Ms.
Yes,
Smith?
it is.
Okay, and we had a second, I believe, from Mr. Hernandez? Yes. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt? Yes. Trustee Mendez? Yes. Trustee Hernandez? Yes. Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Shaver?
Thank you. Item B, approve revisions to the 2014 mandated core academic and KC 8 through 12 and special education summer school programs grades K to 12. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. When you originally approved the summer school classes, I mentioned there would be one change, and so that change is noted here tonight. As you can see, each of the high schools was eliminating one of their offering, and in its place, we're adding at each of the 3 schools one credit recovery JOLT class. They all felt that that was important, and it came about right before bringing the original offering to you. So now we've got it all straightened out and want to bring that revision back.
Motion made by Mr. Schaefer. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. And moving on to item D, approve purchase of Dell Optiplex 7010 desktop computers for mission. See what you did to me? You made me listen. No, you made me listen. Item C, approve purchase of Dell desktop multi-point 6-seat systems and related equipment. Mrs. Ford.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Schaefer. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Now, item D, approve purchase of Dell Optiplex 7010 desktop computers for Mission Middle School and Jurupa Valley High School. Mrs. Ford.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt? Yes. Trustee Mendez? Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Motion carries 5-0. Item E, approve purchase of EduLog routing and planning software. Mrs. Ford.
Administration is requesting approval to purchase EduLog transportation routing and planning software. The Transportation Department reviewed various routing software programs.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have item F, approve change orders number 6-10 for bid number 11-12-06 TE E-rate year 15 project. Mrs. Ford.
I make the motion to approve the change orders number 6 through 10 for Vector USA.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Smith and seconded by Mrs. Johnston.
Question.
Question by Mr. Hernandez.
What were the changes? And why weren't they included in the original bid?
There were the 5 changes, and I'll start with change order number 6, just going to go through what they were. And I just lost change order. There it is. Change order number 6 was for trenching, and that was at Sunny Slope. So what happened was when they started trenching, they realized that they needed to trench. Needed to do more trenching, and they needed to add additional conduit. So that was the $3,333.52. And then there was another trenching, which was for change order number 9, which was for $9,416.35. That was additional trenching and conduit at West Riverside. The rest of the change orders were all change orders that the district initiated based on making sure that we were prepared for growth. So these were components that were not available at the time of the original bid 2.5 years ago, and that are now available and allow us to grow into, into our projects that we have in place and have applied for E-rate year 17.
I just don't like change orders.
I understand. I like them to go the other way too, but in this case, 3 of them were ours.
Mrs. Johnson, question, comment? No? We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item G, adopt resolution number 2014-46, authorize appropriation transfers for categorically funded programs for 2014-2015. Mrs. Ford.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-46.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez? Trustee Johnson? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Item H, adopt resolution number 2014-47, authorize the temporary transfer of funds held in any appropriate fund for account to the general fund for 2014-2015. Mrs. Ford.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2014-47 as explained in item H.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Schaefer, seconded by Mrs. Schmidt. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Next, adopt resolution number 2014-48, authorize appropriation transfers within the general and lottery funds for 2014-2015. Mrs. Ford.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-48 as explained in item I.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item J, adopt resolution number 2014-49, authorize a temporary transfer of funds from the general fund to the adult education fund for 2014/2015. Mrs. Ford.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-49 as explained in item J.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer,
Second.
I'll second.
second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Item K, adopt resolution number 2014/50, authorize a temporary transfer of funds from the general fund to the child development fund for 2014/15. Mrs. Ford.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-50 as explained in item K.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Item L, adopt resolution number 2014/51, approving the authorizing execution of a school facilities funding and mitigation agreement and option to purchase school site. Mrs. Ford.
William Lyon Homes has presented an offer to enter into a school facilities mitigation and funding agreement and option to purchase school site for the formation of CFD number 8. This item discusses the financing mechanism that will be provided by the district to developers to fund developer fees, and this is in the estimated funds from the CFD is $4,522,523. And it will be used to construct a new elementary school to accommodate students in that new residential development. Tonight, we have the Delinka group here. We have Mr. Ben Delinka, and we have Miss Rachel Chang. And then in addition, we have Miss Lisa Wells from Nixon Peabody, if you have any questions regarding the formation of the CFD number 8.
Thank you. Any questions?
I make the motion that we adopt resolution number 2014/51, approving the authorization execution of a school facilities funding and mitigation agreement and option to purchase school sites.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion made by Ms. Smith and seconded by Mr. Hernandez. Questions, comments? All those.
I have some questions. The cost to build this elementary school is $22 million, correct?
Yes.
When Mr. Gill sat in your position, he had numbers or figures that stated that we would be 4 million short, or we would have $18 million from these builders' fees or CFDs, whichever way we went. But he had mentioned we would be, the revenue the school would get to build this elementary school would be about $18 million. If I read in the paper right, we've only got $9 million coming out of these CFDs?
From these CFDs, it would be approximately $9 million.
Okay. Why are we so far off?
I'm going to let Mr. Delinka and answer that question.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford. Good evening, members of the board. Mr. DeShawn, I believe when Mr. Gill was talking previously about the funding for that elementary school, he included additional properties that we will be bringing forward to the governing board to form CFDs. So these CFDs that are in front of you tonight are 3, with the idea that there will be a 4th and maybe a 5th coming to the governing board. So combined, that's how Mr. Gill got the $18 million.
Okay. Question. I mean, you guys come up with these numbers. In CFD number 8, there is, if I'm not mistaken, is it 474 homes in CFD number 8?
No, in CFD number 8, there are 300 units.
What development is that? Is that Stratham?
Yes.
Okay. The numbers I'm going by are what we got from you guys. It says 474 homes would be in CFD number 8.
Yes, there's some additional property that was removed from CFD 8 at this time that may be included in a future CFD.
So that's down to how many homes?
So CFD number 8 at this time is for 300 units.
Okay, 300 units. And if I'm looking at the numbers right, there's going to be revenue of $4.5 million?
That is correct.
To help build that school?
From this CFD.
So that's 300 homes generating $4.5 million?
Correct.
CFD number 10 has, if I'm not mistaken, the numbers you have here are 936 homes generating only $2 million.
No, CFD number 10 is 138 units at this time.
It's 130, okay, at this time.
Yes.
So these numbers are not for total build-out in 2016,
That's correct.
2018.
Like I said, there will be more units that will be built in this area and more CFDs formed in the future.
Okay. See, that's where I'm going, the simple math tells you it's...
Mr. Schaefer, what's happening is obviously as a result of, the period of time that we just came out of, developers and landowners are very cautious about forming CFDs and placing liens on the property prematurely. And so what they've asked us to do is to basically move forward with those properties that they're expecting to start construction on in the near future, with the understanding that as the next set of developments occur, then we'll be bringing in more CFDs or annexing into these CFDs.
So then let me ask you, Mrs. Ford, we will need how much money, when, and how are we going to get it to build this elementary school?
Well, we're going to get, right now, we're going to get it from CFDs.
Okay.
Unless we have, unless we are able to identify local funding to be able to provide additional funding for the school, to build the school.
There was talk about a bond. Where did that come from?
That would be the local funding.
So just go out for a bond just for this elementary school, or are we talking about something that we haven't even discussed yet in a major bond issue?
Right. So but we did, when we talked about through the Facilities and Technology Committee, we discussed that the school, the new school, was part of that. And so if we did, if the board did choose to put a general obligation bond on the ballot, then the school would be part of that would be funded. And that way we could actually build the school sooner.
So when do we anticipate needing this money to start building
You
the
want to
school?
answer the unit absorption
So, Mr.
rate?
Schaefer, first of all, I want to make sure that the governing board and community understands that if we look at CFD number 8, for example, and we look at the write-up, it talks about the $4.5 million. That is based on your level 2 fees, and obviously as those level 2 fees change, that number can go up or can go down. And so, you know, we will be working with administration to ensure that we are always maximizing the amount of revenues that we're going to be collecting from the CFDs. And I would envision that over time, there's a strong probability that that $4.5 million, when actually is generated, would be something greater than $4.5 million.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because these developments will be built out by 2018, 2019.
That's correct. And
so can we get the numbers for CFD 8, 9, and 10? What is the anticipated, or what is, how much will the district get total from each one of these CFDs?
So what I can tell you today is based on the level 2 fee that you most recently approved by the at the governing board, that the amount that you are going to receive is the $4.5 million. Now, in conversations that we have had with the developers, there is a potential that the cost of the school site, the elementary school site, may be greater than what we anticipated or could document in that school facility needs analysis. And so staff is working to make sure that we logically do the right steps to ensure that if that site is in fact a little bit more expensive than what we were able to document in the school facility needs analysis, that we come back to the governing board with a new needs analysis so the fees can then go up proportionately to that site cost. So it's a very delicate but very chronologically deliberate process that we're going through in order to make sure that at the end of the day we are generating as much in the way of construction and proceeds to build that elementary school. But I think to answer your question directly about when, we will be working with your administration to make sure that we generate the money as soon as we possibly can to acquire the site and start construction of that elementary school. And I cannot tell you whether that will be the third quarter of this calendar year or the fourth quarter of this calendar year. It's all going to be based on working with CDE, the California Department of Education, and DTSC, the Department of Toxic Substance Control, to make sure that that school site is approved. That is what is the linchpin of moving forward with developing the money, is getting the school site approved.
So during the development period, more and more homes will be built.
Correct.
More and more money will be generated for the district to build this school. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'd like to know what we can expect from each one of these CFDs that will go toward building the school. Will it be more than the $9 million you're talking, I would think?
Yes.
So what is the maximum that we're looking at to build this school without asking it to be put in a bond measure? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, and what I can tell you is that we can work with staff on bringing back that number, because what we'll do is we'll focus not only on these 3 CFDs, but the surrounding ones, as well as give an estimate on what we think the site acquisition cost is going to be, and then we can provide an analysis and give it to the governing board.
And then one last question.
Mr. Schaefer, though, can I respond, though, for a second? Because I think this goes back to your original concerns. We, of course, would like to maximize what we get. And as Mr. DeLinka said, developers are very cautious about overextending their CFDs, and we want them to be. The reason being that if they have a CFD for 500 houses, build 100 houses, they go in the forfeiture, goes to the Resolution Trust Corporation, and we get zip. So we, as well as they, are going to be very conservative. So what's important here is to kind of understand our backup plan, not our backup plan, but our real plan to go here. So first of all, we need to aggregate as much money as we can, which is in these CFDs, that $9 million, which is enough to purchase a site, which is step one. Step two is continue with the plans. And then step three is build only what we have the money to build. Worst comes to worst, and the school plan that we're looking at is flexible in two ways. It's built in modular pods of 4 classrooms. Those pods can be either stick-built or portable. So let's say we run out of money. We have $8 million and we have 4 classrooms. We'll move portables in there. I think the important part is, though, any delay that we have in the process delays the whole process of site acquisition. And I will tell you, this is the unfortunate part of how schools are built in California. And you've seen many districts go upside down with developers. We will not do that. We'll spend only the money that comes in, work it, as Mr. Delinka said, with his group in developing CFDs that meet this. And we're not assuming any bond. In fact, we're assuming no bond, but we're assuming with $9 million, we get the site, we get the plans, we get a core facility, and build whatever portables we need there.
I fully agree. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at, the economy getting better and better and better. I'm just asking, what can we anticipate by 2018-19 to collect from these CFDs? And we've got 2 CFDs that we have no idea what they're going to generate. The other thing is, there's a development south of 68th and Wineville. That will probably be a CFD. No, that's not for us. That's Corona Norco.
Not for us. Unfortunately, everything south of Limonite is Corona Norco. But there are others coming in.
Yes.
Okay.
So to answer your question, in many respects, that number that Mr. Gill gave was about as good a target as we know now. What changes, though, are really the pattern. I mean, 18-19 is 4 years from now, and you and I and everybody up here have lived through this last recession. And 5 years ago or 8 years ago, we sat here with 4,000 new homes planned for this community. Now we're looking at, a total here of about 1,000.
But that was my concern. How much total funds for the district will be generated? And if we need to borrow money, it would be short-term financing, if possible.
We don't intend to borrow money that does not have an income stream with it.
Right. We will only be borrowing money to the extent that there's revenues from these CFDs to fund the interest and principal payments to the bondholders.
All right, that answered a lot of questions because the simple math didn't work this time, but now it does.
Yeah, there's more CFDs coming your direction.
Thank you, Mr. Linka. Any more questions?
I just want to make a comment. I'm afraid that we will need the school before we're able to build the school. What if we need the school in 2 years and not 4 or 5? I mean, if you don't get the money in 4 years, it still takes about 18 months to build it, so that's another 2 years.
We have 3 acres to I believe it's the south portion of Sky Country School, and if we need to, we'll put a temporary facility there with portables. We've done that in the past. Actually, there was a Felspar annex, but I don't think we have the infrastructure quite as close, but we'll look at one of those 2 options. Probably Sky Country, it's closer, and I think cheaper with infrastructure. So we have backup plans to our backup plans. We will house the kids as they come in.
And for those students that are coming in, that could be possibly coming in the fall, we do have capacity at Sky Country to take those students.
Mr. Linka and Mrs. Ford. And I do believe we have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Schmidt and a second by Mr. Hernandez, if I recall correctly. So roll call vote, please, if I have it right.
Yes. Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Shaker?
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Item M, First, we would like to acknowledge receipt by the clerk of the board of a petition requesting the establishment of a community facilities district submitted by Leonard Homes of California Incorporated as the owner of certain parcels of real property within the district, dated April 16, 2014. And we need a motion first to adopt a resolution 2014/53, the resolution of intention of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District to establish its Community Facilities District Number 9 and to authorize the levy of a special tax within said Community Facilities District. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2014/52 and resolution number 2014/53 in item M.
Can we do them together, or do we need to have them separate? Okay, we can do them together, then 53 first? Go. We'll need to just take them one at a time. So we'll go with your motion, hopefully if amended to, for the adoption of the resolution 2014/53. Okay, and second? Who made the motion? Cheryl made the motion?
I can make the second.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer made the motion, and Mrs. Schmidt seconded motion to adopt resolution 2014/53. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee
Okay, now I need a motion to adopt resolution 2014/52 of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District, approving and authorizing execution of a school facilities funding and mitigation agreement and option to purchase school site.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, seconded by Mrs. Schmidt. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Okay, thank you. We'll need to also approve the next resolutions one at a time, and once again, they're in reverse order than that's noted on your agendas. So we'll go with, well, let me first read the introductory statement here. We need to acknowledge receipt by the clerk of the board of a petition requesting the establishment of a community facilities district submitted by APV Investments, PA 19 LLC, Belletary Investments, PA 19 LLC, Boomer Investments, PA 19 LLC, and Shalina Investments, PS 19 LLC, as the owners of certain parcels and real property within the district dated April 18, 2014. And so I would need a motion to adopt resolution number 2014/55, a resolution of intention of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District to establish Community Facilities District Number 10 and to authorize the levy of a special tax within said Community Facilities District. Roll call vote, please. I need a motion. Okay. Forget the motion. We'll just move on.
2014-54, approving and authorizing the execution of the school facilities mitigation and funding agreement.
Thank you. I have a motion by Schaefer, second by Mr. Hernandez. Now roll call vote, please.
It's supposed to be 55 first.
55? Did she say 55?
She said 55.
Cheryl, are you okay to amend your motion to 55?
Change it to 2014-55.
Thank you, and we have still a second by Mr. Schaefer, correct? Hernandez. Okay, now we're ready for the roll call.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. The next resolution is number 2014, so
I make the
Motion
motion that we accept 2014-54.
okay, a motion by Mr. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr.
Second with a
Hernandez.
question.
Question by Mr. Schaefer.
I just have one question for the Delinka Group. Two questions. They had mentioned CFD 10 was how many homes? Was that 187, 170?
CFD number 10 is comprised of 138 units.
138. And the other question is, because it's part of our 300 pages here, CFD 11A and 11B, with the WheeLock development.
Those will be
Is
coming.
Is that going to be ongoing?
Ongoing meaning coming to you?
No. Apparently it was sold to another developer, but will they continue to develop that?
Do you know, Mr. Rachel?
Yes, to answer your question, Board Member Schoeffer, one of the improvement area was recently sold to D.R. Horton and will continue to be developed by D.R. Horton.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have a first by Mrs. Schaefer to adopt resolution number 2014/54 and a second by Mr. Schaefer. Roll call vote. And the second by Mr. Hernandez. I'm sorry, thank you. Roll call vote.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we're next on item O. Adopt resolution number 2014/56 and resolution number 2014/57, employee recognition. Mr. Dushan.
The hour is late, so I hope you will read the words in the resolutions because they truly exemplify the spirit of the district. And this is National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 5th through 9th, and May 18th through 24th is Classified School Employee Week. Truly, none of us would be here without our groups of employees. So we recommend you pass both resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, and we have a second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Item P, adopt at first reading revised board policy 6010, instructional goals. Mr. Dabrowski.
I make the motion that we adopt revised board policy 6010, instructional goals.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Item Q, adopt at first reading renumbered board policies 6141.2, recognition of religious beliefs and customs. Mr. Dabrowski.
Make a motion to approve or adopt at first reading renumbered board policy 6149.2, recognition of religious beliefs and customs.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer, second by Mrs. Schmidt. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Next, we have adopted a second reading new board policy 4301, administrative staff organization. Mr. Dushan.
Make a motion to adopt at second reading board policy 4301, administrative staff organization.
Motion by Mr. Schaefer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. Item S. Is that right?
You're right.
Wow. We're good.
I know you're stunned.
Adopted second reading revised board bylaw 9220 governing board elections. Mr. Dushan.
I make the motion that we adopt the second reading revised board bylaw 9220 governing board elections.
Motion by Mrs. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schaefer. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston? Yes. Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Item.
I just want to note that the language of the options was deleted with the language of the option you chose at the last meeting is in there.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we're at item T, Act on Student Discipline Cases. And we have 3 cases for approved readmission. And those would be number 13-040, number 13-067, and number 14-022. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
I'm sorry, yes. Yes, I voted twice. Boy, it's getting late. The next item is denied admission, suspended expulsion. We have one case, and that's number 12-089.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Hernandez. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Thank you. Item carries 5-0. And next, we have item U, approve personnel matters. Mrs. Elzig.
Thank you. Administration recommends the board approve personnel report number 17 as written.
Need a motion to approve personnel report?
Item 17.
Personnel report, correct? Okay, thank you. Second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Smith, and a motion by Mr. Schaefer. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Mendez?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Johnston?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Next item, adopt revised 2014-2015 academic school year calendar.
Motion to
Thank you.
approve?
Oh, excuse me, just one moment, Trustee
okay.
Mendez.
Ms. Schaefer.
At this time, we'd like to pull the next two items. As the board is aware, we have reached a conceptual tentative agreement with NEAJ. We'll be negotiating tomorrow, and if we're fortunate enough to close that out and settle, then the board has already adopted a calendar that would correspond with the tentative agreement. So if we could pull these for now, and if being optimistic, and certainly if it needs to come back, we'll bring it back.
So that's, you're pulling out items 2 and 3 under this section then?
Yes.
Correct? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're down to board member comments and committee reports, and we'll start with Mrs. Johnston.
Okay. I just want to make a comment on something that I read about. And, you know, on the Common Core corner, which I like that column about change not, if you remember, with the implementation of Common Core standards, are soon to be released units of study, some may conclude that everything is changing, which this is simply not so. Anyway, I like the philosophy in that column, and I was wondering about if we had, or if the district has any sort of philosophy, no, I'm not sure that's what I mean, policy for our Common Core implementation. What I mean is, you know, it's all in process. And so all of the textbooks and all of that stuff and the curricula is not written. It's pretty much the standards we have for math and English. We have those, but there's more to come. And I wanted to just bring it up as something to think about, is forming as we go some sort of philosophy, policy on Common Core. I can talk to you at another time about that. It's something I read about. It's parents in other states have been encouraged to call the districts and find out what their policy is on Common Core. So I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? So I think what it means is, in the process of implementing everything, nobody really knows what the philosophy of the district is, so to speak. What we've been talking about, not everything is changing. Yes, we're going to teach kids the basics. Yes, we're going to try to, you know, we're not just going to throw this new curriculum out there. We're going to help our kids through it. I mean, all kinds of things like that. So, you know, I didn't want to go into too much detail.
Yeah, just a couple comments.
Have you heard anything?
I have not heard that, and two things I want to say. First of all, we need to be careful because Common Core is the law of the state of California. So our practice has always been, irrespective of what standards there were, whether they were Jurupa Unified Standards, California Standards, or Common Core State Standards, to take the most important of those standards and focus our instruction in a concerted way on students developing the skills under those, and thereby we adopt essential standards. So we would need to be careful not to adopt a philosophy or a policy that was because it's also part of LCAP, and it's so in the LCAP is also kind of embedded our practice. But our practice really speaks more, I think, than a philosophy, and that's to deliver high-quality instruction based on the standards, but to assure that the children master the skills that are necessary. And Common Core standards, there's a lot of discussion and controversy about them, but they basically do two things. They're deeper than the standards were before, and they require students to do more analysis and more explaining, which are things we were moving toward anyway. If we happen along the road to find parts of the Common Core that are going to be controversial to the community, to this board, or our teachers, we certainly will identify them. But I don't think we've seen that to this point. So irrespective of where they may have started and how they may have ended up, and your point about materials is quite well taken. I think what we're going to find, though, is even as the state adopts materials, that one of the most intriguing parts of the Common Core, and most difficult, is that the source material is going to come from everywhere. It's going to come from state-adopted materials, but also a lot of teacher-selected materials. So we're going to kind of have to pay careful attention to the roadmap, careful attention to the road, but drive along it pretty rapidly. Bad analogy, but
well, we have
that.
We have that instructional council, which I think is a really good thing. But I understand it probably changes depending on what subjects are coming up. We've been through the math, been through the English learning part of it. I'm assuming. I don't know if that part's actually been talked about by the instructional council, but as these things come up, that's probably who's your little think tank of teachers are going to be the ones who help implement everything, choose textbooks, that kind of stuff. Am I off?
Well, they do play a role in that. I think there's a lot of think tanks, though. There's the Common Core Steering Committee, there's the prioritization committees, there's the units of study committees, there's the instructional council. There are hundreds of teachers that are involved in various different groups. There's not really one think tank that's really sort of overarchingly responsible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Schaefer, would you please share next?
Actually, compared to the time, this really is not late compared to a couple of years ago. This is early. Well, 300 pages of CFD information is a lot to go through. But we heard a lot from the teachers tonight, and I feel sad that they feel underappreciated. There's more than just wages in there. There's a disconnect somewhere, and I hope they do not feel underappreciated, because seeing those teachers retiring tonight, there's a couple hundred years of education there, and tens of thousands of kids that went through these teachers' classrooms, and you can tell the love they have for their profession. It's amazing. So to those retirees, they earned it. They have earned their retirement, and I wish them well in it. The other thing is, someone was talking about, I had gotten a couple calls also about head lice, and I appreciate the district for sending me the Center for Disease Control's criteria for when to send a student home from school. This sounds like if they're dropping off and they're still alive, those kids should be in school. I read it, and even if they're dead nits, I didn't know what a nits was, but I learned. But maybe we should provide some combs or something for them. I wouldn't want my child to be sitting at a desk with some dead nits, so I don't know. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you.
Yes, as far as the head lice, that is a very challenging problem because my children attended school and one of them got it, and it took forever and a day, and I mean that. I felt like shaving her head. It was so bothersome. And when we got it fixed, she went back to school, and the next week she got them again. So I think the thing is that we need to look at our policy and do the best we can and give parents a lot of tools to help them solve that. I want to thank all the teachers that have served, or really all the employees that have served our district. I know many of them. In fact, I'm kind of saddened because when I first started my student teaching at Rubidoux, 7 of them were there. Don Cushing especially, we did some projects together, and it was great. Ladair Sander and I, in fact, I think I had Ladair in one of my classes, and then she came back to Rubidoux. And it's just great, Jean, I've known Jean for years. Good teachers, good quality teacher. Bobby Arterberry, whose heart was really into standing up for kids and trying to get them to go in the right direction. And I feel, there's only so much a board can do. They can only make the decision that is made in the negotiations. But I think the thing is that as we move forward, we need to look at the kids, and we need to look at the sacrifice that many of these teachers have done. And I commend them. I really do. But I learned a long time ago that if you love something, you're going to keep doing it. And it's great to get paid, but I think it's just like me. I love doing the things in my community, but I don't get paid for it. And I can understand the teachers that here we have an opportunity to reward them, and I thought we were doing a good job, but apparently not. But I do believe the board still has an open mind, and we can continue to do the best we can. As far as the AAA, I think the thing is that I have a concern. In fact, the reason I asked so many questions many years ago when Mr. Mendez was here at the district office, we talked about numbers, graduation numbers. And I was shocked to see that 45% of our kids that started their freshman year graduated. And that meant 55% weren't making it. Do you remember that? So I sat here and I was bewildered. Are you kidding me? And nobody's saying anything about this? And this is why I ask about numbers, because I did learn to do a little bit of math, and I'm trying to look at percentages and everything. And it's very important that if a program's not working, and I ask for what do you call success, then we need to reevaluate and maybe take it out, maybe do something else, improve it. But to look at numbers, after a year's time, and just to see where we're at, I can understand that. But I have many other questions for that. Again, congratulations to those individuals that retired from the district. Thank you for all your service. You donate time and effort really to make our community better. And not so much, you're not out there beating your chest saying, look what I've done, but just appreciate me. There are so many other things that I want to talk about, but it's late. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, you're still with us.
Yes, I am.
Would you like to be next?
Thanks. I'd like to thank all the student board members, Shaylee, Daisy, and Amanda, for providing us with looks into the high schools each week at our board meetings. They all did a teachers, staff that are being recognized outside of the district as well as inside the district, and to the retirees. I hope they've spent many years enjoying their well-deserved retirement. And please remember the teachers and certificate or classified staff for their appreciation week. And Mr. Mendez, thank you for taking over the presidency for the evening for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cheryl. Looking forward to having you back. I'd also like to extend my appreciation to both classified and certificated staff, teachers, for the recognition weeks that are coming up this week for certificated staff and the following week for classified. It's obviously a special time to step forward and acknowledge all that you do for us and our students each and every single day, and the way you serve our community in such a wonderful way. Every single job in the district is important. Every single person in this district, every employee is doing an important job for the district and our students. And it's good to take this time to show that appreciation, but I also hope that we find time to show that appreciation throughout the year, because all of us appreciate what you do each and every day. The second thing I'd like to say is that three of us had the opportunity to attend a very informative workshop on Wednesday, April 30th. The title was Social Media Do's and Don'ts, and it was presented by the Riverside County School Boards Association. It's the first in a series of 5 workshops, and this one was very, very informative. And the title itself is misleading, because the media portion was just at the tail end of the presentation. What it really focused on a lot was in terms of the best way to convey messages to the media. And I believe that who was there, I think Ms. Elzig was there, Mrs. Johnson, and myself, I think, were the 3 that attended from our district. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the information was extremely important, just in terms of particularly any crisis or critical information where time is of the essence, where a lot of emotions may be running, in terms of something that gets out to the media. And it just provided some really good practical techniques of how we can convey the message in an informative way, yet in a manner that's very highly professional and highly effective to the parents, to the community, and to the news media. And so I found that extremely informative. I listened to the presenter, who is a CSBA Senior Director of Communication, at one of the sessions during one of our CSBA conferences. If she attends and is presenting at a future CSBA conference that we attend, I really highly recommend any of us that are in attendance to also attend that workshop. The next one that's coming up, and if the first one is an indication of the second workshop that's coming up on August 27th, entitled Effective Legislative Communications, I definitely plan on attending that one, and hopefully it'll be just as good as the one we just attended last week. So with that, if there's nothing else, then I will bring this session to a close. So thank you for coming and holding out till the very end.